everyone, welcome back. It's 2023. I hope you're all energized after a good break. Today, I'm doing an Ask Me Anything session. So, if you don't have any questions, there will be no talking. Actually, I received quite a lot of questions, over social media, over email, and I hardly ever answer those. So, we collected those also now going to throw those in. Yes. So ask me anything, use the comment functions, anything you'd like to know about improving your performance, improving your well being, maybe starting some healthy habits in the new year. I'm also going to do a giveaway of signed copies of my book. There's a German book, Flow of Work, The Brain Friendly Workplace. And my assistant Nicole is going to go through the people who commented and are joining and like the invitation to send those out. And she's going to reach out to you, whether you want a German or an English copy. So this will happen after the event. So let's see if there is any questions. Hello, everyone. Let's get right started, maybe with some questions that we had coming in through my social media and my email. So, does setting New Year's resolutions actually work? And is there a way I can help myself stay more accountable with new goals? Well, the research and the statistics show that actually New Year's resolutions hardly ever work. People fail all the time. You know how, my personal trainer always tells me that in January, his gym is packed with people. You can't hardly use any tools because everyone is there. And then by February, March, everybody has disappeared and it's like back to normal. And then next January, everything all over again. So it doesn't seem to work, but I still think there's a point to it. It's good to think about what you want in your life and how you can achieve that. And I think one simple way to keep yourself more accountable is by making it easy for yourself. So by creating a new habit, you can use something that I call a when then connection. It's actually intention implementation. And what you do is you simply make it specific, because if we just say I'm going to work out more, or I'm going to work less, or I'm going to spend less time on my phone, that's not going to happen. So what you need to do is you need to make it really specific. When it's 6 p.m. on a Monday evening, I'm going to the gym. That's specific. That's a when then statement. That's much better than just having that general statement of, working out more. And then I also think it's good to have other people there join you who help you keep yourself accountable. So it is a bit smart to tell other people about your goals so they can remind you of that, so that they can kind of nudge you when you go back to your old habits. We are very much social creatures. So if you create a new habit and your entire social environment is not in line with those habits, you're not going to stick with it. And maybe to give you a third thing, it's good to keep it enjoyable. For whatever reason, most people seem to enjoy punishing themselves with their New Year's resolutions. They're just very horrible habits. It's like, it's not very fun. They don't put any fun goals for themselves. It's always something: do more, work harder, eat less, no more chocolate. Try to get those quick wins, because our brain needs that dopamine. We need to activate the reward circuit. So try to make the change fun for you. Think about ways how you can make it better. For example, if you want to work out more, choose a workout that you actually enjoy. There are a million different ways of working out. So why punish yourself with a workout you hate? Go with something you actually like, and then you'll stick with it. So think about that quick dopamine that we actually need. Okay, so on to the next question. We have Ben here. Hi, Ben. First of all, many thanks for doing this awesome learning experience. Well, my pleasure. Hello to Nanu. Yes, Nanu, she's waiting outside the door. I was thinking of bringing her in, but she actually likes to use my studio as a toilet, as a bathroom. So she's only allowed in here. Next time I do this, I promise Nanu is coming with me, but she's like obsessed with the carpet. I have this carpet in my studio for better sound, and she finds it very cozy. Well, she's still very small. Anyhow, my question is, Nanu, by the way, for those who don't know, is my little multi-poo. She's very cute. Next time she'll join me. What is the one advice that you would prioritize to convince decision makers in the training department that brain-based leadership is the way to go? Many thanks. Greetings from Manila. Wow, that's amazing. So I would say if you have the data and the science and the statistics, that helps a lot. There are so many training programs out there that are just good marketing and there's not much substantial behind it. So I think the good way about brain-based leadership is that you can actually show the track record. I mean, to give you one example, for example, when people go on a walking meeting, their creativity improves by, I'm going to show it to you. So just to, their creativity goes up by 60%. Think about that. That's a very simple statistic from a neuroscientific finding. But rather than just telling people, oh, if people were to move more throughout the day, their performance would go up, we actually have the science to prove it. And we can explain what happens in the brain when we exercise and why that happens. And I think that extra why makes all the difference. So you could be teaching the same things other people are teaching, but just having the science to support it and that it's not just something you made up. I think that's so powerful and people are craving that why. People want to hear that. And so what's not to love about that? I think there's a clear return on investment. People are not just throwing money out of the window. So that's how I would answer that question. Ben, thank you so much for joining. I saw that you said in the comments that you would even join if this was hosted on Christmas Day. So yeah, I'm very glad you made it today. Let's see if there's any more questions coming in. Sometimes there's a time delay. Oh, yeah. You write surprise and novelty raise our dopamine levels. But I know that when a meeting or phone call is sprung on me, I feel dread. How can I make sure that I'm benefiting from surprise? Well, here's the thing. People love surprises, but only when it's positive surprises. I mean, who doesn't like a big bucket of red roses in front of your door? Everybody loves that. Nobody feels stressed when that happens, unless it's from some crazy stalker. But we all hate negative surprises. We hate it when people infringe on our space, when things happen that we don't have time for and that stress out. So when I say that novelty and surprise are good for our brains, I'm talking about positive surprises. And keep that in mind also when you surprise others. Nobody likes to be surprised with extra work, crazy schedules, last minute changes, unless you're agreed on the fact and you kind of know that those things are coming. So the brain loves surprises. And actually, research has shown that when people get an unexpected reward, so when something surprising happens, the dopamine activity in the brain is so much stronger. So, in a sense, we all know bonus payments. They're very much expected. So, most people don't really become so happy when they get a bonus payment. It's not that they feel really, really happy when that money shows up in their bank account. Yes, it's good money, it's good, but it doesn't really elicit any true emotions for most people. For some people, actually, they get upset when they see their bonus if it's lower than last year's bonus. That's a bit counterintuitive. We're paying people bonuses to keep them happy and to motivate them, but it doesn't have that impact. While if your manager gives you a day off, surprisingly, or gives you a personalized reward that you didn't expect, that will elicit a much stronger response in your brain than your expected bonus will ever have. So when it comes to surprises, it's powerful. It's a very good tool, but make it positive. And let's use it also in presentations. I mean, there's nothing worse than starting a seminar with a recap. So many people do that, but actually it puts your brain to sleep. The brain is triggered by novelty and surprise. So let's keep that flowing. If I were to make one change to my office environment in order to be more productive, what would it be? Turning on or off music, working near a window. Um, Light is very important. So if you're sitting in a basement and you don't have any windows, I think it's very important to make that happen. So exposing yourself to enough light and maybe even using some circadian lighting is very good. In my studio here, for example, I have all these studio lights. They wake me up, but it's terrible for me if I use it in the evening and then I can't sleep anymore. So it has a tremendous impact on you to get good lighting. Music is something that's highly individual. Some people become more productive with music and some people get distracted. So when it comes to music, and if you're sharing the office, I would say, let's use headphones. Mm, and then I think it's important to not, well, let's put it positively, to have a sense of privacy. There's nothing that destroys productivity like an open space office. People hate having people in their space. And one Harvard study has shown that when people move to an open space office, collaboration and communication actually goes down. People start communicating more via email. So, this cubicle culture is not brain friendly. I think it's a very good idea to give people some walls and some boundaries so that you don't have people in your face all day long. So that's a very, very simple way to really reduce stress level. I understand that as far as the open space office is concerned, many people use that, of course, for cost reasons, but then you will see a decrease in collaboration and a decrease in productivity. Let's see the next question. Comments. Do you think that it is useful to include things like neurosignatures or other personality test results in email signatures? I know that there are companies who do that in order to better understand how people work. Well, I think it's useful if people know what to do with it. So, for example, I like to tell people that I'm an introvert so they don't get offended if I don't come to their party. In a sense, so I'm telling them it's not you, it's me. I don't enjoy it, so I never do that. It's nothing personal. So, in that sense, I do think it's helpful. Of course, then people need to have like a common language, and there needs to be some nuance there as well, so you don't get put into a box. But it's good to know, in a sense, what people like, because then it's easier to treat them the way they would like to be treated. So I do think there are some approaches out there in the market of companies that are trying to create new tools where you automatically see somebody else's personality profile before you interact. I think that's helpful. Yes. Question, away from the office environment for a moment. If I may, from what age are our neurosignatures becoming obvious? And should we include this knowledge in our parenting styles? Here's what I think, and that's also science based from day one. People, no baby is like some other. And if you have several children, you will see how different they turn out from the very beginning. And so, temperament and the biological part of personality, which is not your entire personality, of course, because I just want to make it clear here there's nature and there's nurture, and both influence our neurosignature. So, it's not that by the day you're born, everything is set and then there's no change. People can change. um, Events that happen can change people. The way you're treated influences you. So I'm not saying in a biological deterministic way that, the moment you're born, it's all over and it's all written there. But I would say that those differences are there from birth or even before. It's just that when the baby is not born yet, we can't observe those changes so much because there are some genetic influences. There's also the influence of hormones in the womb. So, how much testosterone you're exposed to, or estrogen, whether your parents have an active dopamine or serotonin system. So, I think it's important to be mindful of those differences and to not expect your child to be like yourself. I think many people expect like a little mini me secretively you want your child to be similar to yourself, and you kind of expect them to make similar life choices, go for a similar career, and things like that. I think you should observe your child and develop them along their strengths and their preferences. And that could mean very different things from child to child. So I do think we should use that knowledge to really help our children express themselves along their lines. So for example, I have 5 children. So some of them are very neat and keep their room organized, and others are very messy. Um, is it my fault? Like, is it my influence? I think more some of them are naturally more organized than others. No judgment here. And so, with some of them, it's very easy to get them to do that. And for others, I have to like check their room sometimes and make sure there's no rats moving in. So, yeah. I have a question from Anila Nana. Hi, Anila. How do you stay positive when the year seems to be started with challenges? I normally have a very positive outlook. My purpose is to live a life of attitude with a gratitude. I think you already gave the answer here. The solution is not toxic positivity where we pretend that everything is fine. The self-help literature is filled with that idea that we can tell ourselves, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm successful. Your brain is smarter than that. If you don't believe that deep inside, you will just experience something that's called cognitive dissonance, and you feel worse as a result. So science has shown that just telling yourself that everything is great when it's obviously not is not helping. But what is helping is to have a sense of gratitude and to focus on what is positive in your life. And that means acknowledging, all the good things that happen to you. And the people who do that actively live longer, have a stronger immune system, experience more happiness, have more energy, have a better social behavior in a sense, because when you have a negative attitude, you always feel like you can't share in a generous way with others because there's not enough of good things for everyone. While when you're filled with gratitude, you tend to also become more generous towards others. So, yes, I agree with you. We have very challenging times. The past 3 years have been challenging, and we all don't know what the future will bring. So, in a sense, I think we need to work even harder on grounding ourselves. I also think, in addition to gratitude, it's good to exercise because everything you do to your body will influence your brain to make sure you sleep enough and well. I think all those, let's say, basic brain hygiene factors will help you to keep your neural balance so that if you start at a higher level of well-being as far as your brain health is concerned, you won't be as negatively affected by negative and adverse life events as if you already start at a lower level. How can more outgoing and extroverted leaders help support their more introverted employees? I feel that I'm bugging them when I'm just trying to check in. By the way, I think I'm going to take 2 more questions and then we're going to round this up. Especially in the virtual world, I think it's good to keep things short and sweet. So I'm going to take this question and then 2 more, and then I think we are going to move on with our lives here today. So, to your question, I think it's one thing that really helps is to talk about this with your more introverted people. So, for example, I'm an introvert and I hate when people give me unexpected phone calls. It's like you don't know how long the phone call will be. It's hard to then maybe also end the phone call if somebody just talks and talks and talks. So, in a sense, what I like to do is I like to steer people more towards email or text messages or voice recordings so that I can choose when I answer that and that I don't have to be necessarily meet people. I also get a threat response if people invite me to dinner or lunch. Like I run, that to me is something I'm not always so excited about as an introvert. So I think it's good to maybe talk about mode of communication. Do you prefer email? Should we use the team chat function? And this way, people can respond at their own time and just respond in a way that suits them. If you love in-person meetings, that's great, but not everybody does. So I think it's good to keep it a bit flexible. And then at the same time, if you're extrovert, that also deserves some respect. You don't have to cater to your team all the time. I think extroverts should respect introverts and introverts should respect extroverts. And then you just need to find some common ground and decide on a mode of communication. Hi, Bert Miller. Good to see you here. Happy to see you here. Do you have the impression and data that leaders are more focused on creating empathy? And what is the most important skill to create well-being with their people and clients? Well, I've done this work for, I would say, 15 years now. And when I started, something like empathy and, mindfulness training and well-being was really not on the agenda. So I certainly see a very strong shift towards towards empathy and emotional leadership. I also see the kind of requests I get from my clients for keynotes, much more of this and less focus on performance as we had in the past. So I think there is definitely a cultural shift. Um, I think the most important skill to create well being is to have a deep sense of respect for people and their differences. I think that is something you cannot learn. You either have that or you don't. And I think if you respect other people and you have their best interest in mind, that's the starting point. I used to sometimes get these calls to coach people who lack empathy with their people, and I always turn those down because I think you can't really teach empathy. You can improve empathy. There's data that shows that, for example, when people do loving kindness meditation regularly, empathy levels go up, or when people are less stressed, empathy goes up. So yes, it can be improved, but if you lack empathy, you shouldn't be in a leadership position. That's what I think. It's just something that is wired in your brain. And if you really don't have it, you can fake it, you can improve, you can always change and learn, but you will never be really, I think, at a sufficient level to have that responsibility of taking care of people. Okay, we're taking one last question. Hi, Jakob Khrushchev. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Great. Thanks for joining. If you're experiencing a feeling of being too busy in the workday, are there any ways to implement methods to avoid the feeling? Well, I think you shouldn't avoid the feeling. I think if you're too busy, you're too busy. And then what you need to do is to set boundaries, say no, and turn some of these activities down. I think there are two ways to go about this. So one part is it's hard sometimes to say no to people, especially depending which position you are in a company. If your boss wants you to do things, it's not a very nice seat to be in to always be saying no, no, no. Nobody likes that. So saying no is a tough skill, but it's an important one to set boundaries, what you can do and what you can't do in a way. So that's one piece of it. And then I think many people waste time on activities that add no value. They're not being very efficient. So, in a sense, and that includes myself. I mean, what I do on a regular basis is I look at the kind of activities I do and I ask myself, is this really the best way to spend my time? Like, should I be writing this guest article? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing this meeting? And very often, some things are just not needed. And then we can simplify things. So I think there's also this 80-20 approach to work that 20% of our efforts lead to 80% of the results. And if we really take a good look at what we have to spend our time off and what we can let go, we can hopefully lead better lives. That said, if you're too busy, that feeling won't go away if you're just overworked and stressed. And the only way out of this is by reducing the amount of activities you're doing. Yes, you can meditate. Yes, you can work out, but all of that is just sugarcoating a situation that is not optimal. And I believe in changing the situation rather than putting lipstick on a pig. I hope this was useful. Thank you all so much for joining. Yes, I'll see you soon again. I'm now going to work on a new book. So that will be very exciting. I might come with some questions to get your stories and your insights on this exciting new topic. And I wish you a very happy day. And I say goodbye, everyone.